Hi, Anita. How are you?
Hello, Arthur. How you doing?
Not too bad. Do you mind sharing with our audiences a bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Anita Van Ruyen. I'm a confidence coach and a human behavior expert, which basically means I help people understand the weird stuff that they do so that they can do things differently if they choose to.
That's fantastic. And how did you meet Arthur, the Chatty curator?
I met you at an international student event that was organised by Vic Wise. I was there talking about how to network, how to start the process of creating networks, and how that can then also merge into that really challenging space sometimes of how to make friends.
It is. It is. I think one of the biggest challenge is I work in social media, but then at the same time that it looks so easy, but then making friends is another question. You might have thousands of people connected to you or liking your photos on Instagram, but then if you're not actually communicating with other people with confidence and with personality, if you may, then what prompted you to start Confidence Hacker?
Well, as I said, because I used to be the shyest person in the universe, like confidence was donuts, right? It was absolutely like zero level. And over time, I did a lot of work on myself. I realized that confidence is actually like an internal job, like it's up to me. And so did a lot of work on myself, started doing it by myself, trying different things. It was sort of like the cha-cha of personal development, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes 1 step forward, 10 steps back. And over time, I realized that a lot of people in the community have got a lot of challenges with confidence. And so I think about 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, I went and learned how to be a coach. I wanted, like, people used to come and ask me about, can I get advice? Can I help get your help on this? And I decided that, well, all these people are asking me, maybe I should actually get paid for it, because I thought that I was pretty good at it. People kept coming back and asking me. Maybe this was this place, this magical place of where something I'm really good at, something I can get paid for, and something that I enjoy, all of those kind of bits merging together to create, wow, this could actually be something that is something.
Yeah.
So started doing that, and was working initially with a lot of dancers and performers. Interesting that that you're in that kind of performance space, because a lot of performers have got a very shiny outside, glamorous, glittery, fake eyelashes, all that kind of stuff. But if you scratch the surface, a lot of them are very, very reserved, very shy, lacking a lot of confidence. But on the outside, and I guess with social media, you would see that the outside is all very shiny, but the person on the inside is maybe the story is very, very different. And so I started working with performers and dancers, and that was really great. It was this whole thing of they needed it, but they didn't want to necessarily have it. They kind of, like there's that whole difference between, I know, yes, okay, I've got this shiny outside, but the inside is a challenge. But as long as the shiny outside is still shiny and glossy, that's all that matters. And so it meant that my business became a big challenge and a kind of a lot of push. Fast forward, blah, 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 blah. I decided that I would allow the performers to continue to contact me if they needed that help, but I would not be focusing on them as a business, like as a group for my business. And then I sat in the nothing for a while, which was incredibly frightening of, okay, I'm no longer going to be focusing on working with performers and dancers, but I don't know who I'm going to work with. And that was incredibly frightening. Probably one of the most frightening things I've done, because I put a lot of time and energy and money and effort into working with dancers and performers, and just to like allow that to do that, and then sit in nothing, not knowing where, like, what was going to happen with my business, where it was going to go to, how I was going to make money, because like I have a mortgage, and and it's me, like my business is me. And
it sounds like that the working with artists and performers had kind of like so into the fabric of your business in the early stage, wasn't it?
Most definitely, absolutely. It was the fabric of the business. It was very, very much that. And like I was in I'd spent a lot of time in dance world. Like I love Latin dancing, so I spent a lot of time in that world. And to put your heart and soul and your energy, and kind of like your business is your baby. I think business owners will recognize your business is your baby. And people were kind of saying, hey, your baby's cute, but I don't want to do anything with it. Like, it's great and it's lovely, but I don't want to give it a hug,
Meanwhile, I think my business is a bitchy one.
But your baby is beautiful, right? Everybody's business baby.
Yes.
Everybody's business baby. It's my baby, right? So it's beautiful. And other people could see, yes, that it was helpful and it was useful, but they didn't necessarily see the need for it because they were shiny on the outside, and that was okay. So I sat in this space of kind of nothing for a while, and it was only like I was meditating, and I've started meditating, I think probably for the last 2 years or something. Never thought that I would be a meditator. I think that's a word. Never thought that I would meditate. Started meditating, and out of like nowhere I was meditating, and it was like this question came to my head. So why did you start coaching in the first place? Just get back to the basics. Why did you start? Like, what is your why? And that was like this switch that just flipped, and I was like, well, I wanted to help people with life skills. I had a number of friends who 35, still didn't know how to cook or look after themselves. I had a couple of friends who were like 35, 40, still living at home with mum looking after everything for them. And I was like, I want to help people with these life skills so that they can become independent adults. And from that, like I finished my meditation. I came into this room, my office, aka my spare bedroom, and got onto the internet and just went student accommodation providers in Melbourne. And literally the first one that came up got on the phone and said, who looks after your student wellbeing and resilience? And they said, nobody. And I went, well, that's what I do. Like, it was a very awkward conversation because I hadn't even worked out like what I was offering, anything. I just kind of was like, well, that's what I do. And so organized to meet with them. The person was so generous with their time, gave me a lot of information. As they were talking, I was formulating things in my head, offerings that I could give to them on the fly, and rang the next one and did exactly the same thing, and rang the next one and the next one and the next one, and realized that there was actually a really huge need here.
It is. And look, I mean, ultimately, it's always starting a conversation. It's a little bit like, it's always about say hi. I mean, what's the worst they can do? Just say no and hang up. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, in the workspace that they can't swear at you. I mean, hope not.
But even if they do, like, who cares, right? Like, they weren't the right person, but maybe the next person was.
Well, exactly.
And it's so interesting that even with, the connections and stuff that I created, like that first person that I had that great conversation with, that business still has not got me to come in to do any work as yet. But they were like, that conversation totally changed my life.
It's amazing.
They haven't done any work with me. The lady that I spoke to has now moved. She's now working in another student accommodation property. They haven't done any work with me either. but that conversation was absolutely pivotal in me changing my business.
Because I started my business back in 2010, and then when it get to a point a couple of years in that I was like, it's a little bit like the original market dried up, if you may, and then I just start ringing around different, because I'm from Sydney, so I personally I enjoyed doing a little road trip to regional New South Wales, and so I just start calling different places, or like, and then I ended up getting a project amongst the tourism New South Wales, and then a few wineries and a few golf courses, and then the next thing you know, I got a referral to work at conferences and expo, and which is much bigger, and they were held at like Melbourne's MCEC or Canberra Convention Centre and Sydney's Convention Centre, and then I was like, so starting with hello.
Yes. And it's, like it's that whole thing I think of just starting. Like there's so many reasons why you can't pick up the call and make a phone call. I mean, reasons in our head, right? There's so many reasons because, maybe they're busy, maybe they're this, maybe. And, I've devised this thing that I call the courage bucket. And I never knew that I had this courage bucket. I've discovered that by my right foot was this courage bucket that I never knew was there. Sometimes you just need to take a little bit of this courage and go like that, just splash it on your face. And sometimes you need to pick up that whole courage bucket, like the ice bucket challenge, and just go and just completely dump it over your head. And that's what you need to do sometimes. And especially I think in business, I think we start becoming lazy is not the right word. Comfortable. We start getting comfortable in, this is our clients and this is what it is and this is who it is and that's it.
It's a little bit like, I think the universe always give us a gift of your first bunch of clients or the first bunch of market, but it's always up to you to discover the second, the third, and then before you know, you spend your whole life working on it.
And part of the joy is that discovery, like I think, COVID sucks, right? Let's just be like, COVID sucks, full stop.
It sucks.
And it's also allowed business owners to really look at their businesses in a very different way. And the ones that haven't done that are the ones I think that will probably fall by the wayside. Because we need to start looking at client, customers in a different way, because you never know, all of a sudden the customers that you have may all of a sudden the backside may fall out of that industry for whatever reason. And having different places that you can go to, having a bit of diversity within that, or diversity within yourself. We have all these amazing skills that sometimes we forget about.
Thank you so much, Anita, for taking part in this Get Chatty About Your Local Businesses series. And do you mind if someone's looking for some help with the coaching or the confidence help, and such as, how are they going to find you?
Sure. So they can contact me at anitavanruyan.com. I'm sure you'll put a link somewhere. And on Instagram and Facebook and all those social media kind of channels, all the jazz, because you've got to be everywhere, right? And the other place is I created a couple of online courses specifically for people who are struggling with stuff around COVID. Mental well-being stuff. I don't even like to use that word because mental everything. On a website called social-wellbeing.com, and there may or may not be daggy dancing at the end of every 15-minute lesson. There totally is. There is, because dancing just helps with everything, right? So there's a bunch of different ways that people can connect.